السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Today we are going to look at validity conditions. Last week we looked at principles of Islamic finance, principles of commercial transactions, and today we are going to start on vitiating conditions, of course, for Islamic contracts. And the first vitiating condition is mutual consent of both parties. But of course, before that, what we should understand as the first principle of Islamic commercial transactions, we said, is permissibility. That the cardinal rule in principles of Islamic finance or even trade or commercial activities is that they are permissible. And the same applies also to vitiating conditions or validity conditions, is that putting conditions in any contract is halal, it is permissible, so long as the condition does not negate the essence of that contract, or it does not make what is lawful unlawful, or vice versa. So the first condition, as we said, would be permissibility, is that vitiating or validity conditions are permissible. Counterparties are allowed by Sharia to put conditions. For example, I could say, I am buying this car from you, or rather you're selling a car to me, and you put a condition that you want to use it for 2 days before you deliver it to me, and that is a condition you can put, and it is Sharia compliant, it is halal. Now, the conditions that are put by Sharia, or rather the vitiating conditions here, one is mutual consent of both parties. Of course, you would not, or it is not allowed for Sharia to put to compel someone to enter into a contract, or to force someone to enter into a contract. There has to be mutual consent. Now, number two is that the two parties should be responsible. What is referred to in Sharia as, they should have the mental capacity. They should be mukallafin. You do not enter into contracts with a madman, somebody who has lost his mind, or maybe a child who does not understand much about contracts or things like this. So they should be responsible, and this is what we mean by responsibility. Number three is that whatever is traded, be it a good or a service, should be permissible without need and or necessity. This condition entails that whatever we are trading in should primarily be halal, not because out of necessity, not because somebody has been forced by circumstances that he has engaged in a particular business, but rather that business or that commodity or that good or even that service primarily is halal. Otherwise, there could be a situation where somebody is compelled to eat, let's say, pork, or to drink alcohol, but that would not mean that he is allowed to trade in that particular good, or alcohol, or even pork. Just because somebody has been compelled to eat it or drink it does not mean that he is allowed to trade in it. So whatever we are trading in should primarily be halal, and not because of certain circumstances that item has been made permissible, or there is a window of permissibility. Number four is that whatever we are trading in, we should have full ownership. Whatever we are trading in, somebody is not allowed, or we are not allowed to sell things that we do not own. And of course, this is something that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, or naha Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited selling or trading in things that we do not own. We should have ownership, not necessarily possession, but ownership, something that we have to differentiate. Number five is ability to deliver. Of course, whatever we are trading in, we should have the ability to deliver. And as we said in our previous lectures, one of the principles of Islamic financial transactions is that a contract should not have gharar, or a trade should not have any aspect of gharar. And one aspect of gharar is where a vendor is not able to deliver an asset or a good that he is selling, or even a service for that matter. You cannot deliver a service, then of course that is gharar. And maybe to elaborate further in terms of gharar, something that I just remembered I did not mention in our previous talk, is sometimes we enter into contracts, and when we say you enter into a contract, we should not understand that a contract is written. It doesn't have to be written. It could be that you're driving your car, and then you reach somewhere, you find people are washing cars, and a man comes to you and he says, "Let me wash your car for you," and you do not agree on a price. That is gharar. The payment, how much are you going to charge me? Most of us, we tend to think that, okay, somebody has come and he wants to wash your car, or he wants to do a certain, maybe mow your lawn, and he says, no, we are not going to differ on the price, we are not going to differ on the payment, let me do it and then we are going to agree. Now that is wrong. That is wrong. We said that in terms of gharar, or in terms of any trade, we should agree on three things from the outset. One is the price or the payment, and two is the asset or even the service, and three, delivery. So when you contract someone to do a service for you and you do not agree on the payment, then that is gharar. And one of the reasons why gharar is prohibited is because of ensuing disputes later on. Somebody says, no, to wash your car I should charge you $10 or 100 shillings or 200 shillings, Kenya shillings of course. And you believe maybe you've been overcharged. I should only pay maybe 100 shillings rather than 400 shillings or 300 shillings, or $5 instead of $10. And this is why we are supposed to agree from the outset that I am going to wash your car, and in terms of service, we have to agree on the service itself. What is the service? We have to define the service, because you might think that washing your car entails you wash the inside and the outside, and maybe under the car maybe you also wash the engine and all that, but somebody only understood for 300 shillings, for $5, for $10 I'm only washing the outside, I'm not going to wash inside. So we have to agree on the service itself. Now afwan computer imekatika. Number 6, the goods traded should be known either by sight or description. Again, this pertains to gharar. We say the three things: the price, the asset or the service, and delivery. We have said among the vitiating conditions or validity conditions here is ability to deliver. Number 6 of the conditions is that the goods that are traded have to be known either by sight or by description. Today, you might talk of a certain commodity or good that is known by everybody. It is known by a description. Yes, you have seen it maybe in the past, or you know of it, and you can buy it even without seeing it in front of you at the point where you are buying it. This is allowed in Sharia. And if for any reason you are buying something that you do not know, you have never seen it, and you don't even have a description of it, then that is not allowed. For example, the examples given by Muslim scholars in terms of gharar pertaining to the asset is bay'ul al-mulamasa. The Prophet ﷺ has forbade bay'ul mulamasa. Bay'ul mulamasa is sort of loosely translated to mean touching sale, where merchants or traders or vendors would sell cloth, but they would not allow the buyer to take hold of the cloth and look at it, but they would only allow them to touch it. It's as if you're touching it and you're closing your eyes and you're feeling it. So as you're feeling it, you have already agreed on the price, but you do not know exactly what type of material. You only know it is something that is prohibited, that when you're buying something, you either have to know it by sight or by description. So yes, somebody could describe to you, this item and says it has this, it has that. Yes, you know it by description, and it is as though you have what is called khiyarul ru'ya, that you're given an option until you see it. So when you see it, of course, then you approve and you say, okay, then I will continue with this trade. Number 4, the transactional provisions and conditions laid by either party are permissible, as we said, being one of the first conditions. Number 5 is a transaction containing any jahala. A transaction containing any jahala then is prohibited by Sharia. A transaction containing jahala, and jahala means ambiguity or an unknown variable in the contract, or what we might now call, taught in economics, asymmetric information, where the buyer or the counterparties, one of the counterparties has more information than the other. This is what we call asymmetric information, or maisir or gambling. So any contract that has jahala, ambiguity, unknown variable, asymmetric information, then we would say then that contract is not Sharia compliant or is not valid. Number 6 is safeguarding the interest of all parties. That is, when you're entering into a transaction, you want the benefit of your counterparty. You want to safeguard his interest. If you are entering into a contract where you already intend to dupe him, to cheat him, to lie to him, then on your side that is a sin. On his side, yes, it is a valid contract and it is okay contract, but for you who wants or intends to harm your counterparty, then that is not Sharia compliant. One of the hadith that is very significant for us to remember, especially for traders, is hadith narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah radiallahu anh, where he states that he went to buy, or rather Jabir actually went to buy a horse or a camel, I can't remember, but I believe it is a horse, and he took the horse, he paid, I can't remember the amounts, let's say 500 dinars, and he asked the vendor, the seller, let me take it for a test drive. So he went, and then he came back and he told the vendor, listen to this. He told the vendor, I believe this horse is more valuable than the 500 that I've given you. Should I add you more? Of course, as a vendor, as a seller, you say, of course, you add me more. So he added, let's say 200, so it became 700, and he went for a second test drive. And then he said, I think it is still more than 700. Can I add you more? And he added until 1,000 dirhams or dinars. So you find that as Muslims, when you talk of a condition, a vitiating condition, is that you should look for the interest of your counterparty. Is something that we are not talking of, theory, but something that has been practiced by our pious predecessors, the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where you want to buy something and you know the market price, you don't go fooling other people, or just because somebody doesn't know maybe the price or the market price or the right price of an item or a good or even a service, you say, okay, he's a fool, I'm going to take advantage of him. No, as a Muslim, you want good for your brother Muslim, and this is something that we are encouraged to do, and we should not take advantage of people just because maybe they are unaware or they are ignorant. Number 7 is intentions and meanings are the basis of validating or invalidating a contract, meaning that under this principle, an Islamic bank or even a Muslim for that matter should not employ tricks in selling something as we see in auctions, where you go to an auction and you want to buy a certain item, and you hear $1, somebody says $4, $10, and all these people are actually a cartel. They've been planted there by the auctioneers, and they just want to raise the price. So here the condition is that intentions and meanings are the basis for validating or invalidating a contract. If you have this type of auction, then it is prohibited. But if you have willing buyers, interested buyers, somebody says $5, $10, somebody says $15, they are all interested in buying, there is nothing wrong in that. You could have this type of sell and it is valid. But if as an auctioneer you have planted your own goons, your own people, and they are raising the prices so that you get the best price or the highest price, then that sell in itself is not Sharia compliant. It is not valid. A transaction is not valid except from an authorized person, owner, or an authorized agent. And of course, by this it also means that if somebody is not authorized to do a certain transaction, do a certain business, then whatever he does on behalf of the principal or of the owner is not allowed by Sharia, and of course then that transaction is not Sharia compliant. 9 is among the validity conditions or vitiating conditions for a commercial transaction is that commercial transactions, and here we mean for-profit transactions or for-profit transactions or commutative transactions, are based on greed. And because they are based on greed, we find that there are stricter rules, principles, and conditions. Because I do not enter into a transaction except because I want to make a profit. I want to generate something out of it, and because I want more for a higher price for my asset or even service, and you also want more of the asset or a better asset, a better commodity for a lesser price or for a smaller price, because they are based on greed. And this entails that we have to know the price, we have to know the commodity in terms of quality and quantity, and we also have to know when I'm going to be paid, that is delivery of the payment or delivery of the asset or the service. But on the contrary, we have two types of contracts. We have commercial contracts and we have charitable contracts. Charitable contracts are based on magnanimity, and that is why you don't necessarily have the same strict principles and strict conditions. You could tell one of your children that if you excel in your exams, I'm going to give you a present. It could be a pencil, it could be a pen, it could be a wristwatch, it could be something maybe trivial to him. And that ambiguity, that ignorance of the price of whatever I'm going to be given by my dad does not invalidate that charitable contract. Types of charitable contracts could be the sadaqah, it could be a gift, it could be a waqf. It does not necessarily invalidate that contract according to some Muslim scholars, and this is what of course is more right, inshallah ta'ala, is the qawlu al-rajih as far as we are concerned. Okay, so the implication of the fact that commercial contracts or commutative contracts or for-profit contracts are based on greed, whereas charitable contracts are based on magnanimity, is that commercial transactions have to be explicitly open and clear. They have to be explicitly open and clear, and that is why you have bargaining, you have haggling. Somebody says, I want this for this much, and the buyer or the seller says, no, I will sell it for this price, or I will do this for you for this price or for this payment. So this is based on, commercial transactions are based on greed. And of course this also means when you talk about commercial transactions are based on greed, it means that when you talk about the price, let me give an example here just to show also the implication of this condition, that commercial transactions are based on greed. Let me give an example of insurance. Conventional insurance is when you pay a premium. Let's say you have a car that is valued at 1 million Kenya shillings, and you pay 50,000 Kenya shillings comprehensive insurance. And at that point, because this is a commercial transaction, it is a for-profit transaction, when you are paying 50,000 Kenya shillings, is it the price? We said we have to know price, asset, what you're getting in return, and delivery. Is it the price? No, it is not the price. Why? Because when you're paying 50,000 Kenya shillings, you do not know what or when the accident is going to occur, or the risk that you are insuring against when it is going to occur. It could occur in the first year, so you've paid 50,000 and you get something in return, or it could occur in the second year, so you've paid 100,000 Kenya shillings. It could occur in the third year, the fifth year, or the seventh year. So the seventh year you'd have paid 350,000, and then you get something in return. You are compensated. So even the price is ambiguous. It is unknown. You might pay 50,000 or 100,000 or 150, 200,000, 350. Then the risk occurs. Then you would now say maybe that is a price, if you were to take that as a price. But it is not the price, and even if it was the price, it is ambiguous, it is unknown, and that is why we say insurance or conventional insurance is prohibited. This is one of the reasons. Secondly, if that is a price, the premium is a price, what are you getting in return? The return could be that you've covered your car for a value of 1 million Kenya shillings. When the accident occurs, are you going to be paid 1 million shillings? No, of course not. It depends on the extent of the damage on your car. So it could be 1 million shillings, 250,000 Kenya shillings, 100,000 Kenya shillings. So even what you expect to get in return, the compensation is unknown. So you have gharar in the first instance in terms of the price. You have gharar in terms of what you're getting in return, the asset, what you will be compensated. And you also have gharar in terms of delivery. When is the accident going to occur? It is unknown. So you have gharar in insurance, and this is one of the key reasons why insurance is prohibited, because commercial transactions are based on greed. And this is also why you have issues to do with moral hazard. You also have issues where somebody, as you know, you read any book on insurance, what it tells you is that, like Baraton says, that an old system, getting broken is very enticing, pleasing, attractive to the owner, because he's going to be paid a new system. And of course, so people, what people would do is become, they will not handle their goods or their assets properly, because they know at the end of the day I've been paying something and I never got something in return. So they would either break it or loosely handle it so that it breaks and they get something in return. This is because it is a contract that is based on greed. I've been paying something for 10 years. I've never had an accident. My car has never been involved in an accident, and it becomes appealing or attractive for me, for my car to be involved in an accident and a write-off at that, so that I get a new car. And these are some of the issues, of course, we find in insurance. And you also have these issues also where somebody has life insurance, whether it's Sharia compliant or not. You'd rather kill your own parents so that you are paid, your own spouse so that you are paid, because of all these issues. You've been paying, and you want something in return. And of course, on the other hand, the insurance company, when it receives these premiums, they immediately own them, and of course it becomes very difficult for them to part with the premiums, with the payments that you've been paying. And that is why they would always take you round and round, because they don't want to compensate you. So we have seen also the implication of this condition that commercial transactions are based on greed, whereas charitable contracts are based on magnanimity, and that is why takaful is based on charitable contracts, and that is why it is Sharia compliant. We are going to discuss this inshallah ta'ala in the future programs. Now, number 10 of the vitiating conditions is any individual or institution with authority to transact a business has the mandate or authority to commission someone else to act as an agent on their behalf. So this means that if I'm responsible, as we talked about, this being one of the validity conditions in commercial transactions, if I'm responsible, if I am allowed by Sharia to do a certain business, to engage in certain trade, then I'm also of course allowed to commission someone else to do that business on my behalf. So you could have an authorized agent, you could have someone doing that business on my behalf, of course with my approval, and this is something that is allowed by Sharia. To do a recap, we have looked at the principles of Islamic finance, and again I reiterate this point: these principles do not apply to Islamic banks or Islamic financial institutions alone. They apply to all of us who are engaged in any type of business. We have looked at validity conditions or vitiating conditions, and we have also shown some differences on how we employ these principles and these conditions to differentiate Islamic banks, Islamic insurance from conventional insurance, and of course conventional banks. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش الكريم أن يجعلنا مما يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Inshallah ta'ala, we will proceed from here where we are going to look at the contracts or the products that are used by Islamic banks to finance the diverse needs of the society or the Muslim community or even non-Muslims, as of course it is a misconception that some believe that Islamic banks only deal with Muslims. Inshallah ta'ala, نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش الكريم أن يجعلنا مما يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.